Okay, so Brazil sprint qualifying just happened, and guys, this is not what I expected. One championship leader looking absolutely bulletproof. Max Verstappen struggling like we haven't seen in weeks. And there's this rookie Mercedes driver sitting on the front row ahead of championship challenger. But here's the wildest part. We've got the drivers eliminated in SQ1 who are supposed to be in the midfield fight. Catastrophic Ferrari strategy decisions costing Lewis Hamilton his whole qualifying run. And one driver at the back so frustrated, he literally said, "This is the worst execution I have ever seen in my life." We're breaking down all 20 positions from P20 to pole position, and trust me, the story here is not what it looks like at first. P20 was Carlos Sainz and P19 was Esteban Ocon. Alright, starting at the literal back, Carlos Sainz. And according to the team radio, this is the worst execution I have ever seen in my life. You know what's wild? Sainz is generally solid, but right now Williams is clearly struggling. One of their drivers, Alex Albon, made it through. Carlos didn't. That's not just underperformance, that's a gap, and Sainz knows it. Moving up one spot, Esteban Ocon in the Haas. Now here is a driver who has had some seriously brutal seasons. Haas has brought him in to be stable, experienced hand, and in Brazil, he's slow, noticeably slow. We're talking nearly a full second back from the top 10. He's not usually this far behind. This feels like a confidence issue mixed with a fundamentally unbalanced car. P18 was Yuki Tsunoda and P17 was Liam Lawson. Okay, this one is interesting. Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull. So here's the thing, Tsunoda actually crashed in FP1, which means he lost valuable practice time while his car got repaired. But even accounting for that, he's a half second down on Verstappen. Verstappen is struggling tonight, we'll get to that, but Tsunoda, this is rough. And for a driver who's supposed to be helping Red Bull fight for both championship, this is not the energy you want heading into the sprint. Liam Lawson. What's funny or sad, depending on how you look at it, is that Lawson said he was completely bewildered about why he ended up in the elimination zone. Like he genuinely seemed confused. That tells me maybe his lap was compromised or he just didn't have the pace when it mattered the most. P16 was Franco Colapinto and P15 was Oli Behrman. Fun timing here. Alpine just announced they're keeping Colapinto for 26, like literally this week. So he's got job security now, which is great, but his qualifying, not great. Didn't make SQ2. He's a young driver with potential, but right now he's getting beaten by established drivers up and down the grid. This is one of those you got the extension, now prove you deserve it moments. Now we jump to P15, Oli Behrman. Behrman is interesting because he's a young driver trying to prove himself in Formula 1, bouncing between races and trying to get consistent. In SQ2, he's right on the edge. He made it out of SQ1, but just barely. And that tells you everything about where Haas is right now. Behrman seems decent, but he's trapped in machinery that's fighting the midfield instead of leading it. P14 was Gabriel Bortoleto and P13 was Pierre Gasly. This is the home hero story, right? Brazilian driver driving at Interlagos, supposed to be his track, except he got eliminated in SQ2. Bortoleto's been competitive at times, but today he couldn't make the top 10. And you can feel the disappointment when your home race doesn't deliver. That's just brutal. Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. Gasly was actually on pace. He was showing some serious speed through SQ1. But then Charles Leclerc will get to him, spins at Pico de Pato, corner right-hander, and immediately double weight yellow flags come out. Gasly's on his qualifying lap, can't push through the yellows, and boom, his lap time isn't good enough. Knocked out. This wasn't about pace, this was about timing. He got caught in someone else's mistake. P12 was Alex Albon and P11 was Lewis Hamilton. Alex Albon has actually been decent this year, but in SQ2 couldn't quite make the cut. He's just a few hundreds off from being in SQ3, but in Formula 1, hundreds are life and death. Okay, P11 Lewis Hamilton for Ferrari. This is where things get spicy. 7-time world champion, 4 races left with Ferrari this season, trying to salvage his Ferrari dream with a podium, maybe a win. And then Leclerc spins, double yellow flags, Hamilton has to lift, his lap is ruined, he doesn't make SQ3. But wait, it gets worse. The stewards are investigating whether Hamilton actually slowed down enough for those yellows. They're saying he might have pushed too hard while passing the incident, so now there's a potentially a penalty coming on top of a ruined qualifying session. This is the worst possible scenario for Hamilton right now. He needed this to go smoothly, instead eliminated, potentially penalized. P10 was Nico Hülkenberg and P9 was Isaac Hadjar. Right, so entering the top 10, P10, Nico Hülkenberg for Sauber. Hülkenberg's one of those solid, consistent drivers who just works. He made SQ3, finished 10th, doesn't make headlines, but also doesn't crash or disappear. He's the definition of a pro midfield driver, nothing flashy, just solid. Isaac Hadjar has had an interesting season as a rookie driver, and here he is in the top 10. Actually, not a bad qualifying for him at all. Racing Bulls has some talent, and Hadjar's showing it. He is where he should be, competitive but not dominant. P8 was Charles Leclerc, and P7 was Lance Stroll. Here we go, P8, Charles Leclerc for Ferrari. Leclerc was having a rough day from the start, struggled in the early runs, but in SQ2, he's fighting back, trying to get his Ferrari into contention, and then he loses it at Pico de Pato. Just spins, not a crash, but a spin, which means double yellow flags, which means he ruins not just his own lap, but also the lap of his own teammate behind him. And that's not just a qualifying mistake, that's expensive, that's championship points potentially slipping away, that's your teammate, the 7-time world champion, getting eliminated from SQ2 because of your error. Charles is fast, but tonight he made a costly mistake. Lance Stroll has had a mediocre second half of the season, but Brazil, this is actually his best qualifying in months. Aston Martin's bringing decent pace here, and Stroll's executing finally. He's where he should be. P6 was Max Verstappen, and P5 was Fernando Alonso. Okay, P6 for Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Max Verstappen third in the championship, still fighting for his fifth title, and he's sixth. Look, Verstappen has been complaining about poor car balance all session long. He's frustrated on the radio. The Red Bull just isn't performing like it normally does. This is the moment where things start to get really interesting, because Verstappen doesn't normally qualify like this. He recovered from P17 to win the last year at this track, but starting P6? That's not ideal. That's not dominant championship contender energy. That's vulnerable energy. And with only 4 races left and him trailing by 36 points, this is exactly where he doesn't want to be. Alonso was actually fastest in SQ2. The man is 46 years old and still bringing championship level pace. That's honestly impressive. Aston Martin is fast around Brazil, Alonso is fast, and that's not supposed to happen according to how season has gone for them. P4 was George Russell and P3 was Oscar Piastri. George Russell sitting in fourth behind two McLarens, behind a rookie teammate. Solid job for George, but considering he has been a faster driver all season, he will be disappointed. P3 Oscar Piastri for McLaren. Okay, so here's what's happening. Oscar Piastri is the championship challenger. He's 1 point behind Norris and he's sitting third, being split by a rookie Mercedes driver. This is the puzzle piece that tells you everything about this qualifying session, because Piastri is fast, he's a championship contender, but Kimi Antonelli, a rookie, went between him and Paul. What does that tell you? That's Piastri cracking under pressure, or is it a rookie having the session of his career and championship fight getting tighter at exactly the wrong moment for Piastri? P2 was Kimi Antonelli, and on pole is Lando Norris. This is the story of the session right here. Rookie, Mercedes, front row, beating the championship challenger. 97 thousandths of pole position. Antonelli actually nearly got eliminated in SQ1. He was 15th, sitting dangerously close to being knocked out in the first round. But then he put together the lap of his life in SQ2 and SQ3. This kid just announced to the entire grid, I belong here, not with a crash, not with a lucky incident, but with pace, genuine, championship level pace. Mercedes has found the gem, and everyone else just noticed. And finally, P1, Lando Norris McLaren. Lando Norris is leading the championship by 1 point and he just took pole position for the sprint. With 4 races left, Norris just sent a message: I'm not cracking, I'm not struggling, I'm dominant. He's got the fastest car, he's got the best form, he's got championship momentum, and now he's got a pole for the sprint, which gives McLaren front row start against everyone else fighting for scraps. But here's the thing, Brazil has a history of chaos. Verstappen came from P17 last year and won. Leclerc had a spin today, and with the rain forecasted for tomorrow, he will need to perform. So here's what we learned tonight. Lando Norris is in complete control, but that target just got bigger. Kimi Antonelli just made everyone at Mercedes believe again, because that pace is real. Max Verstappen's vulnerable for the first time in weeks, and he has 4 races to recover. Oscar Piastri is watching the championship slip away, and he knows it. And Brazil is about to get crazy tomorrow. The sprint race is tomorrow, then qualifying, then on Sunday the main race. And every lap is going to matter for those 3 guys fighting for the title. So here is what I want you to do. Drop a comment down below and tell me, who's going to win this sprint race? Is Norris going to cruise to victory? Is Verstappen going to pull off another miracle recovery? Or is Antonelli going to shock everyone again? And if you want to see my full reaction to sprint race tomorrow, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you'll get the video immediately when it drops. This weekend is going to be legendary. I'll see you for the sprint race breakdown.